Hello, Daryl here. The channel is Programming in Any Language. The supporting website is programminginanylanguage.com or black-duck.com. They both take you to the same place. And it's a place where you'll find the videos and PDFs of the code. The video is storing class-type objects in a list. Like the array, you can create multiple occurrences of a class and store the resulting objects in a list. And again, via a simple index, you can step through a list of objects using a loop. We go a step further in this video by not limiting the list to a specific number of objects. This one is wide open. We can add as many objects as we wish. A save button and a load button were added to this example to show you how you can save your object data and later bring that data back to the list. Let's take a look at this application. Last time we looked at how to store objects in an array. And we did it fairly simply. We just used an array with 4 objects that we put into the array. This time we're going to use a list. And the list is going to be basically unlimited. And I added a few things to this thing too to make it a little bit more useful for you to save and load. So let's take a look at that. So we're going to look at today storing class type objects in arrays and lists, focusing on the list. You can create a list to hold a class object. We have an example here. List expresso list equals new expresso. This statement creates a list object referenced by the expresso list variable. So in other words, we're going to have an expresso list, which will contain all of the objects in our list. Each object of the expresso class needs an instance of the expresso class to hold the data. So we'll set it up. Expresso, my expresso equals new expresso. We do the same thing with arrays. In this case, we end up with myexpresso.brand, myexpresso.model, and myexpresso.price, and we can put data in there, either keying it in straight or bringing it in through text box or even loading it from a file. To add the expresso objects to the list, we use expresso list.add myexpresso. We're going to be doing 2 things this time. We're going to be adding our objects to a list, but we're also going to add the model to a list box. You'll see that in a second. We're looking at that right here. We kind of modified our Expresso machine object slightly again. Well, slightly, a little bit, whatever. We've got this area up here where we can create the objects by hand. So we'll put in a brand, model, and price right in here. Hit the create object, and bang, it goes into the list. We can do this over and over again as many times as we want. There's nothing to stop it this time. We have no fixed boundary. We're going to allow it to do anything. So we have text brand, text model, text price, just as we had in the other applications we did before. All sitting in group box 1. Label objects created. This will tell us how many we actually created. And this will be the button create, which will actually do the creation of that. Whenever we put something in here, in this Expresso area, we will create the object and it'll go into our list. When we do that, we're going to be updating a list products, regular list box. This will contain just the models of everything that we're putting in here. So our objects will be sitting in a list, but our models will also be sitting in a selection area where we can click on them and go. And this is what will get loaded and saved to our file when we actually use it. When we click on something in the list product box, the brand, model, and price will show up in this area right here. So we can select anything we want and make it work. And LBL brand will be here, LBL model is sitting here, and LBL price is sitting right down here. Well, again, we're using a group box to contain all these things called group box 2. This is list products. We have button load, button exit, and we have with a button save and button clear. Button load, save, and clear are new to us. So button save is going to be programmed first because we're going to create a bunch of objects and then save it to a text file. Then we're going to load that text file whenever we want to bring our product in. But we can also clear everything in there. Clear both lists, the list box and our list itself by using the clear button. Looks a little complicated, not all that complicated, but there are a few extra things we're going to be looking at here as we work with this thing. This is what the Expresso machine hierarchy might look like. We've got a form load where we're going to display the count. So when we go into the program, we're going to know where we stand. We have a create objects. This is going to get the Expresso data and display our count. So this is a piece that we enter data and add it to our list as we go along. The select model is our list box. We're going to click on the list box here. When we do that, it's going to display the brand and the price of any object we happen to grab that is sitting on our list. The new things we have here, we have a save where we're going to be able to read the entire list and write the records out to a file. If we turn the machine off, bring it back on again, get out of the app, whatever, when we come back in, we can do a load. It's going to read that file, and it's going to write the list and display the count. And what's going to do, it's going to write the list, but it's also going to update our list box again, too. So it'll be doing that kind of thing. And we'll display the count so we know how many are actually out there. Clear, clears the list box, and displays the count of 0 when it actually clears everything off. And our exit button is going to get us out of there. Once again, the beauty of the class, we don't have to do anything to it. It is the same class we used before. The gets and sets are sitting here. We're doing nothing special. So our class code stays the same. Our form global area is almost the same. It's slightly changed. We have our int counter -1 for our data input, and we have an int display count of 0 for display purposes. And here's we got rid of the array piece, and we have list expresso list equal new expresso. So we're creating the list right here. This creates an expresso list based on the expresso class. Form load does nothing more than display our count. It's going to call a method that we created, same method we used last time to do our array piece. The display count looks like this. Int display count is equal to int counter +1. We add 1 to it. Remember, we are looking at lists that start at, as soon as you put the first element in, it's element 0. Then 1, 2, 3. So if we have one element in there, it's element 0. We want to add 1 to that, so when we actually display how many objects we have out in our file, it'll display a 1 for us. Button create has also been changed slightly. Our int counter is going to increase by 1. We create the custom myExpresso new expresso. We then pass that to the get expresso data, and then we display our count. So we're creating the expresso object here, an instance of it, and then we're passing it to our get expresso data, which will go and get the text boxes. Here's that get expresso data right here. It is modified slightly. Yes, this is modified slightly. Basically, the array piece has been pulled and the list piece has been put in place. We have a decimal DEC price. Machine.brand is equal to text box in the brand area. Machine model is equal to text box in the text model in the text box area. And then we look at our decimal and we do a try parse on the text price. And if it works, if it is a decimal, it will go into the decimal price area. So you get all 3 pieces sitting out there. And then we can take our machine price and apply it to that object. And then, of course, we're going to add the model to our list box. This is what happens right here. And then we're going to add the entire instance of the object to our expresso list. So the entire object gets placed in the expresso list, and the model gets put in a list box. If something doesn't happen right, it goes wrong, we end up with a faulty decimal, something else. We have invalid price comes up, our counter is decreased by 1, and we're back to square one again as far as entering data. We clear it all out, set our focus to our brand, and the user can start typing all over again. Displaying the product info, we had a big display screen for the array. We're looking at 0, 1, 2, and 3, all the objects at once we could actually get at. We're doing something different this time. We're only going to display what we want based on the list box. So when someone clicks on the list box, it'll be a select index changed. And we have set up a pointer then to be equal to the selected index pointer, selected index in the list box. Once we have that index from the list box, it's exactly the same index as we have in the list itself. If it's greater than -1, which means we actually have products out there, we can do this stuff here. Otherwise, we end up with no product found. If it is greater than -1, we end up with 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, whatever. We set up an instance. Expresso, myExpresso, we can do expresso. Then we take myExpresso is equal to expression list element at int pointer. So it's taking the object sitting inside the list and applying it to this instance we created right here. So basically, we're taking an object's contents and placing it into a new object contents. Once we have it in here, we have access to it. The brand, model, and price can all be placed in our text box or into our label, brand, model, and price, and we'll convert this to a currency value right here by taking that price and storing it as a currency, and out it goes. So that's a little bit simplified, I think, based on the list box. Saving data is something we didn't do before in the array. And I want to do it here because while we could do it in the array as well, I thought it might be time to actually show us what this actually looks like, because you are working with the objects and trying to store it into a text file. We're not using databases yet. So we button save. We set up a string model, a brand model and price on a full record. So we got these three pieces. We want to put them in a full record that we're actually going to save in our text box. So we do our try catch. The catch is going to be if system error pops up, we want to get out and display what the message was. But otherwise, our stream writer, we're going to the output file. Output file is equal to file create text expresso.txt. So this is being created this /bin/debug folder inside our application, and it'll be called expresso.txt. We'll write the records using a for loop. We set up an integer of I equals 0. As long as I is less than expresso list.count, remember the count of the expresso list, and we'll increase it by 1. So we start with 0. We set up an instance of the expresso class called myExpresso again, different from the other myExpressos because this is inside its own little button here. MyExpresso then is equal to expresso list at element I. So this is going out to the list one at a time and taking the object that's sitting in the list and applying it to the object we just created here. We then extract the brand, model, and price, and we take the price and make it 2 strings. So we're creating 3 string values are going in here. Then we take the full record and we store the brand with a tab, model with a tab, and price. So we can actually create a tab delimited file, bring it up in a spreadsheet if you'd like. Then we write that output, write file, string full record, gets written to our disk file. And then we close the file. And we let the user know that the output file has been created. And that's it. That's all it takes to actually save the data. Loading the data, we want to use a full record variable to grab it. We also want a decimal price because we have to deal with the price. Because this is very similar to our text input area where we're actually bringing in typing it in. Except instead of typing it in, we're bringing in data that we've actually saved. So theoretically, there should be nothing wrong with the data, but you never know. So we still do a try catch in here and apply it. So we have a try and a catch, and if there is an error, it's a system error of some kind. Otherwise, we're going to take the stream reader, create our input file. We're then going to create a delimiter array of \t, our tab. Our input file is then going to open text of expresso.txt, which we stored in the /bin/debug folder. Then while we're in input files that not at end of stream, we're going to do all this stuff. So we're going to take our string full record and read a line in. So one full record, the brand, model, and price are going to get put into this string full record variable. We're then going to take our string array, called tokens, and split it based on the delimiter, which is our /t. This will create 3 pieces, token 0, 1, and 2. We then create our Expresso object from our Expresso class. So we're creating another myExpresso. It's internal to this guy right here. And once we have this created, we can say myExpresso.brand is equal to token 0. That takes our brand. MyExpresso model is equal to tokens 1. That's our model. And our price is coming in as a string, and we want to make sure it's still a decimal. We could probably just bring it in straight because we know it's a decimal based on our save. But you want to do this just to make sure that it is indeed a decimal variable. So if decimal.try-parse tokens 2 is actually a decimal, it'll go out to decimal price, which we established up here. Then we can take that myExpresso price equal to decimal price. Then we take the list products items and take the model and put it out in our list box. And we take the entire object myExpresso and store it to our list. So we do this over and over again to recreate our list. And otherwise, if we don't have, I put it down as a weird error. Price was not a decimal. How can that happen? Somebody sabotaged our data. It's not going to happen. We're not going to get to this thing. But again, this is being on the safe side. Then we are going to close our file. Our int counter is going to equal to the list items.count -1. And we're going to display the count. And we've loaded our data, and it's all there. To clear the data, pretty straightforward. We wanted to set up a message box here where we're going to warn the user that you're going to do this. You want to make sure you're going to about to wipe everything out. So double check and make sure you're okay on this. So we set up a string message. You're about to delete all records. And our dialog is going to be an OK cancel button. Our var results, the message box show, string message, dialog, message box, OK cancel. And we have a question mark up there. And then if the result is equal to dialog OK, in other words, the person said OK to this, we then take our list items and clear the entire list box. We clear the list, and we set our counter to whatever the items is that count -1 and display it. It should be 0. Otherwise, we're going to say clear operation was canceled because they put in the cancel in there. That should be it. So let's go ahead and do this thing. I've set up a form with all the pieces in it that I would like. I have my brand sitting up here. Let's go to our properties and see if we can't get that going here. My brand is TXT brand. Model is TXT model. Price is TXT price. I've got the label objects created sitting over here and a create objects button sitting over here. I have a LBL brand sitting down here, a LBL model sitting down here, and a LBL price here for display purposes. And I have the list products list box sitting over here. I've got a load, save, clear, and exit button. So what I'm first going to do is go out. Well, number one, I need my class put in here. So I'm going to go to my form here and I'm going to add. I want to add an existing item. I'm going to go out to where I've got my class sitting up from before. Actually, I've got it sitting down here someplace else. Here it is right here, and grab it. And there's my Expresso class. There it is. Now I got it in the right spot. So it's popping up right over here. Expresso class is showing up there. So great. I also want to go to my form now. And you can see, before we do that, you can see our namespace, Expresso machine test is what it says here. But it's Expresso. It's Expresso class, looking good. All our pieces are there. So we can use this class we created elsewhere and make use of it. There's our design. Go to our form. In our form code, we're going to basically create the pieces we need right in here. In this area right here, I want to put that counter and my Expresso list in place. And I'll place it right in here. Our int counter is going to be equal to -1. Our display count is going to be equal to 0. And our list Expresso list is equal to new Expresso. This creates our Expresso list. This is our list that we're going to be using, and it's in the global area, so it can be used by all the functions we're going to be putting in down below here. So that basically puts that in place and looks pretty good. The next thing I want to do is I want to go to my form load. How do I do that? I go to my form and double click on the form itself. And I end up with a form load area. What I want to create there, I want to basically put in my display count, which is going to give me an error because I don't have it yet. But I want to go ahead and display my count. So what I'm going to do down here is create the display count. And that consists of private void display count. And we're going to take display count and increase it by 1. Display count is going to have the actual number that is in the list. 0, 1, 2, 3. So it's always going to be one less we actually have physically showing. So this, by adding 1 to it, we can then take our label object created and let the user know they've got 1, 2, 3, 4 items. They don't have 0 items. 0 means they actually have 1. So we want to be able to display 1 there. So this takes care of that display count piece. The next thing we want to do is we want to hit our button create. If you think about it, we look at this thing right here. We want to go in and create an object. So we're going to be able to put the brand, price, and all this stuff in there. So we're going to hit our create object button. And what it's going to do is we're going to place a number of things in here. Since we are creating an object, we want to increase our counter by 1. We then create Expresso my Expresso equal new Expresso. We're creating an object out of the class. So we have something that's local to here. This means we can actually take our data and put something in it. We then go to our get Expresso data and pass my Expresso, which is right here, to that get Expresso data method. We had something similar to that in the array area, and so you're going to see that in a bit. We need to create it. It'll be a slightly modification from what we did in actually the array. Once we've done that, we can display our count, which we've already set up here. What we've got here, we want to get the get Expresso data in there next to actually put there. We're going to put that right down in here. So take our get Expresso data. That's going to look like this. We're receiving machine from this guy. Get Expresso data is passing my Expresso, passing an object. We're expressing the Expresso machine here. So we're coming right here. This gives us access to an object, and our decimal DEC price is being set up here. Our machine brand is going to be equal to text box. Machine model is going to be equal to text box. And then the DEC price is going to have to be done through a parse, try parse, because we don't know if we actually typed in a numeric variable. So we're typing in if decimal is .try parse, text price.text, and if it's fine, out to decimal price is where we're going to put it. Once it is right, we can say machine price equal to decimal price. And then we'll add our list products.items. We're going to add machine model to the list box. an Espresso list.add machine. We're going to add the complete item to our list. If this fails, we're going to show invalid price. In counter is equal to in counter minus 1. We're going to decrement the counter here. And then we clear out our text files and set our focus to the brand so the user can start all over again. That's all there is to that particular piece. And if I'm not mistaken, we can test this. And indeed, we're sitting right there at the brand. I'll type brand 1 as a test, model 1 as a test, and price of $1. Create the object. Model pops up on my selected index here. Doesn't do anything because I didn't create a list. I didn't create anything for the list box yet. We're sitting up here in brand. I can do a brand 2, model 2, and $2, and create it. Now I've got 2 objects sitting out there. Again, the model shows up here. So this part's working so far. We have no errors in there. What we don't have is any of these buttons working yet. So we need to put that in place. And we need to do the exit button, click on next so we can have this thing ready. So we'll do that. Let's go ahead and click on the exit button. That's all set. That's ready to go. What's the next thing we want to do? Now, since we've got all this in place right now, let's go ahead and create our list products object right here. To do that, we're going to have to double click on this guy to create the method. So if we do that, and our list products selected index change pops up. That piece looks like this. We get an integer called inPointer, and then we say that's equal to our list products, our list box, the selected index. In other words, we're taking the index of our list box, anything we clicked on in there, and putting it in inPointer. Once we've got inPointer has something that's greater than -1, we can go ahead and attack our list. If it's not greater than 1, if we didn't do anything, we end up with nothing there, and so we'll simply say product, no product found. But if we do have something that's greater than -1, 0, 1, 2, 3, whatever, we create an Espresso, MyEspresso, new Espresso. We create an instance of the class. We then take MyEspresso, that new instance, and put the object that's at the pointer in the list into MyEspresso. So that moves it into here, or makes a copy of it in here, allowing us to take the labels and display the brand, the model, and the price. And that's all it takes. This will work. There's our, we'll do our brand 0, model 0, $, brand 1. I should have said 1, model 1, $2. We'll do one more. Brand, we'll call it brand 3 just so we can back up the numbers. Model 3 and $3. And it's there. All our pieces are here now. So we should be able to click on any one of these and see what's there. And indeed, brand 1 pops up. Model 1 pops up for $2. Hit model 3. Model 3 pops up. Model 0 pops up with $1. So anytime you click on any of these things, you can display that information from our list and bring it there. That's all it takes. All we do need to do now is find a way to load and save this data, because right now we have to type it in each time we did it. We would love to be able to actually do a save and then a load. Exit should work. It does. Let's go ahead and jump over to Form Design. Click on our Save button. I want to save the data first. And what save looks like, it's all pretty straightforward. We set up our 3 variables to hold the brand, model, and price, and our full record variable. We have a try catch. If something goes wrong, we're going to show an error message. Otherwise, we're going to do all the stuff that's in here. Starting with StreamWriter output file. Output file is equal to espresso.txt. We're going to create that in our file. And then we have our loop. So from I equals 0 to I is less than the expression list count, we're going to increase it by 1 and do all this. We're going to create a brand new object called MyEspresso from our class again. Once we have that in place, we can then grab our Espresso list and place it in there, much like we do with our select. And we now have an object from the list going into our object we created in this method here. And that gives us access to this brand, model, and price. So we take the brand, model, and price, put it in 3 variables, and then we concatenate all 3 variables with a \T or a tab between all the pieces, creating a tab delimited record consisting of brand, model, and price. We then write the record out, close the file, and the object's been created. Will this work? Sure it will. We will create brand 1, model 1, $1, brand 2, model 2, $2, brand 3, model 3, $3. Can we save it? Output file was created. Click off, done. Click out. Let's just take a look. We'll go into the demo, go into the bin folder, into the debug folder, and there's our expressal text. Click on it, and there's our 3 pieces, tab delimited. Brand 1, model 1, $1, with tabs in between there, so we could easily bring them into a spreadsheet if we needed to. Next, the load button. Nice to bring this stuff back in. Click on the load button. It looks something like this. We're taking our full record again, and we're also creating a variable decimal price so we can work with the price piece. Remember, this is going to be a little like we are typing in the data from scratch because you're bringing it from the outside. And so we want to make sure we're doing the same tests, even though we don't have to because we know the data is only created from this particular routine. But if the data was created somewhere else, you might want to do this. So we do a try. The catch is a system error. We do a StreamWriter input file. We set a delimited, here's our character delimiter is going to be a \T. We input file, we're going to open expresso.txt, which we had in our /debug or /bin/debug folder. And while input file is not at end of stream, we're going to take our full record and bring it in. Once we've got it in there, we want to create a string array that's going to take it, and based on the tokens which we created, we're going to create a token string array and split the full record based on the delimiter, which is our \T. That gives us a token 0, token 1, and token 2. All 3 pieces will be in there. We then create the object of myExpresso with our expresso myExpresso equal new expresso. Once we have that in place, we have access to the myExpresso brand, model, and price. So we can take myExpresso brand, make it equal to token 0. myExpresso model is equal to token 1. Token 2, we could, because we know it's actually a string, we could have just taken it and said myExpresso.price is equal to token 2, and it would have worked fine because our program is the only thing creating the output file. But if you were bringing data from somewhere else, you wouldn't know, so it's always good to check. So we'll say if decimal tries parse tokens 2, we're going to say decimal price, it goes in there, and we can actually work on it. If it's true, we end up with myExpresso price is equal to decimal price. We can add our model to the list box and our entire object to the list. Otherwise, we can say weird error, price was not a decimal. We close our file. Our int counter is now equal to items count minus 1, and we display our count, which is going to add 1 to it and show our proper count to it. And that's all there is to it. Does this thing work? We've got data out there from our save, so we can load it. There it is. We can even add. So we can say brand 4, model 4, $4. And we have 4 pieces out there. And we can get all these guys. We're able to show. No problem at all. We can then save this, and it'll say all 4 pieces get created out there. We can exit, run it again. Our load works. All 4 pieces show up. All we need to do is the clear. Our clear button is fairly straightforward. We can just click on it, and it looks like this. String message, you're about to delete all records. OK, cancel. Set up our message box. with our dialog. And if it's okay, we're going to do this. Otherwise, we're going to say the operation was canceled. If it's okay, we're going to say list product items clear. That clears the entire list box. Expresso list.clear. That clears the list. In counter is equal to whatever it is, -1. And then we display that count of 0. That's all there is to it. Will this work? Let's go ahead and do our load. There's our objects. Let's clear it. You're about to delete all records. I'm going to say cancel that. Operation canceled. We're still in good shape. I can display my stuff. Okay, good. Good to know. Let's clear it now. Yes. Everything gets wiped out. We didn't actually clear this. So we might want to add this piece to it so that it clears that thing. But we now are completely wiped out and clear. Let's do a load. Yeah, I'm just going to keep this here. So there's a mistake on my part. I need to clear this as well. Let's go ahead and do that real quickly. That's our labels. So I'd like to be able to display the clear any label data that's out there. LBL brand.text is equal to nulls. LBL model dot text is equal to quote quote, and LBL price dot text is equal to quote quote, and that should take care of that little problem. File save all, and let's go ahead and start it. Do our load. See, our clear would work fine here because you don't see this going on. But if we do a load here and say no, cancel, and allow us to do some items in here, bring up some data, we do see some stuff here. If we clear it now, what happens? Yes, it wipes everything out and creates 0 in our object out. Once again, load, 4 objects, clear, no objects. So the Expresso machine data program with a list works pretty well. That's storing class type objects in a list in a nutshell. Saving and loading the data to an array would function the same way as the list. The big difference here is the list is expandable on the fly. Now let's see if we can put all these past videos together in a practical example. We'll do that next. Thanks for watching. Visit the website when you get a chance, and please subscribe to the channel. There's more stuff coming every week. We'll see you in the next video. Take care.